Most people don't turn to philosophy when life is going well. They turn to it when something breaks, when things stop making sense, when the direction they thought they were following suddenly disappears. It usually starts quietly, a loss of motivation, a feeling of emptiness, a sense that something is off, even if everything looks fine on the outside. You go through your day, you do what you are supposed to do, but there is no weight behind it, no clarity, no real direction. Just movement without meaning. Before we go any deeper, understand this. If even a small part of this feels familiar to you, then this is not just another video you should watch and move on from. This is something you need to engage with. So take a second right now, like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment with one word that describes how you have been feeling lately. Not for me, but for you. Because the moment you acknowledge where you are, you stop pretending. And that is where real change begins. Now, stay with me. And that is the moment most people try to distract themselves. They scroll more, they watch more, they avoid silence because silence forces them to think. And thinking at that stage is uncomfortable because the questions start to come up. What am I doing with my life? Why do I feel this way? Why does nothing feel enough? Most people do not answer those questions. They escape them, and the longer they escape them, the heavier they become. It is like carrying something you refuse to look at. You know it is there, but you pretend it is not affecting you until one day it becomes impossible to ignore. And if you are honest with yourself, you have probably felt this before. That moment where everything slows down just enough for you to notice that something is not right. Maybe you are alone. Maybe it is late. Maybe there is no noise, no distraction, no one around. And for a brief moment, everything becomes clear, not in a comforting way, but in a confronting way. You see the gap between where you are and where you know you could be. You feel the weight of your unused potential. And instead of sitting with it, most people run from it, because facing it means accepting responsibility. This is where philosophy enters, not as something abstract, not as something intellectual, but as something practical. Philosophy does not exist to impress you. It exists to stabilize you. It gives you something most people lack when life becomes uncertain. A framework, a way to think, a way to interpret what is happening to you instead of being overwhelmed by it. Marcus Aurelius wrote his thoughts not for an audience, but for himself. He was dealing with pressure, responsibility, uncertainty, and he needed clarity. That is what philosophy gave him, not comfort, not escape, but clarity. And clarity changes everything, because when you understand how to see your situation, you stop reacting blindly to it. Most people suffer more in their mind than in reality, not because their problems are small, but because their interpretation of those problems makes them heavier. A situation happens, and immediately the mind adds meaning to it. This is unfair. This should not be happening. This is too much. Why me? And that interpretation creates resistance. That resistance creates stress. That stress clouds your thinking, and once your thinking is clouded, your decisions start to break down. And when your decisions break down, your life follows. You start making choices based on how you feel in the moment instead of what is right. You avoid things that require effort. You delay things that matter. You choose comfort in situations where discomfort is necessary. And over time, those small decisions compound into a life that feels misaligned, not because you lacked potential, but because you lacked clarity. Think about that carefully. It is not always the situation that destroys you. It is how you process it. Two people can go through the same experience, and one collapses while the other grows. The difference is not luck. It is perspective. Philosophy interrupts that pattern. It forces you to step back and examine what is actually happening versus what you are telling yourself about what is happening. That gap is where control begins. Because if you can change how you interpret something, you can change how you respond to it. And if you can change how you respond, you change the direction of your life. Epictetus built his entire teaching around this idea. Some things are within your control, and some things are not. Simple, but not easy to live by. Most people spend their energy fighting things they cannot control. other people's opinions, past mistakes, uncertain outcomes, and the more they try to control those things, the more frustrated they become. You replay conversations in your head. You overthink decisions that have already been made. You worry about outcomes that have not even happened yet. And all of that drains you, not just mentally, but physically. It affects your focus, your energy, your ability to act. You feel tired, not because you have done too much, but because you have been thinking too much without direction. That kind of exhaustion is dangerous because it makes you feel stuck even when you are not. Philosophy redirects your focus. It asks you to look at what is actually yours to control: your actions, your decisions, your standards, your discipline. That shift alone can change how you experience your entire life. Because instead of trying to manage everything, you narrow your focus to what you can actually influence. But let's be honest, knowing this is not the same as living it. You can understand these ideas and still struggle. You can agree with them and still fall back into old patterns. That is because philosophy is not just about awareness, it is about training. You have trained your mind to react a certain way for years. You have trained yourself to avoid discomfort, to seek easy relief, to delay action. That does not change overnight. It changes through repetition. And this is where people become impatient. They expect a shift in feeling before a shift in behavior. They want to feel different so they can act different. But it works the opposite way. You act differently first, and then your mind begins to follow. That is uncomfortable because it requires effort without immediate reward. This is where most people give up. They expect clarity to fix everything immediately. But clarity is just the beginning. What comes after is practice. Daily, uncomfortable, sometimes frustrating practice. You will catch yourself overthinking again. You will notice yourself avoiding something you should do. You will feel the urge to escape instead of face something directly. That does not mean philosophy is not working. It means you are becoming aware. And awareness is powerful. Because now you have a choice. Before, you were reacting automatically. Now you can pause. You can question your impulse. You can decide differently. That pause is small, but it changes everything. It is the difference between repeating the same pattern and breaking it. And the more you practice that pause, the stronger it becomes. At first, it feels forced. Then it becomes natural. Eventually, it becomes who you are. You start to notice that things that used to trigger you no longer have the same effect. Situations that used to overwhelm you become manageable. Not because life became easier, but because you became more stable. And that stability begins to reflect in everything, in how you speak, in how you move, in how you make decisions. People may not notice it immediately, but you will feel it. And that feeling is different. It is not excitement. It is not temporary motivation. It is something quieter, more controlled, more grounded. It is the feeling of being in control of yourself. But this is only the beginning. Philosophy is not there to make you feel better. It is there to make you stronger. And strength does not come from avoiding difficulty. It comes from facing it directly, without running, without distracting yourself, without pretending it is not there. This is where most people turn back. Because once you stop escaping, you start seeing things clearly. Your habits, your weaknesses, your patterns, the things you have been avoiding for a long time. And that is uncomfortable. Not slightly uncomfortable, but deeply uncomfortable, because it removes the illusion you have been living in. But that discomfort is necessary, because you cannot change what you refuse to see. And most people spend years avoiding themselves, avoiding their own thoughts, their own reality, their own responsibility. Philosophy does not allow that. It forces you to look directly at your life without filters. Philosophy forces you to confront reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. And once you see it clearly, you are faced with responsibility. Not blame, not guilt, but responsibility. You begin to understand that your life is shaped by your decisions. Not just the big ones, but the small ones you repeat every day. How you spend your time, what you focus on, what you tolerate from yourself. And this is where it becomes serious. Because once you become aware of your patterns, you lose the ability to hide behind excuses. You can no longer say you do not know what to do. You know, you have always known. You just avoided acting on it. And that realization hits hard. Because now, every time you choose comfort over growth, you feel it. Every time you delay something important, you are aware of it. Every time you act below your standard, you recognize it instantly. That awareness creates pressure, but it is the kind of pressure that builds you, not breaks you. You start holding yourself to a higher standard, not because someone told you to, but because you understand the cost of not doing it. You understand what happens if you keep avoiding, keep delaying, keep choosing comfort. You have already experienced that version of your life, and you know where it leads. So you begin to act differently, not perfectly, but intentionally. You do the things you have been avoiding. You face situations you would normally escape. You make decisions based on what is right, not what is easy. And slowly, your life starts to shift. Not in a dramatic way, not overnight, but steadily. You become more focused, more disciplined, more in control. You stop being easily shaken by things that used to affect you deeply. You stop reacting to everything. You start choosing your responses. And that is power. Not loud, not visible, but real. Because once you control your response, you control your direction. But there is another layer to this: consistency. Most people understand what to do, but they cannot maintain it. They start strong, then fade. They build momentum, then lose it. And every time that happens, their confidence drops. Philosophy addresses this by shifting your focus from results to process. Instead of asking, "Is this working?" you ask, "Am I doing what I said I would do?" That shift removes emotional dependency from your actions. You stop needing to feel good to do what is necessary. You stop needing motivation to stay consistent. You act because it is part of who you are becoming. And that identity is what makes the change permanent. Because once you see yourself as someone who acts with discipline, who thinks clearly, who handles pressure, your behavior aligns with that identity automatically. And this is where most people never reach. Because they stop too early. They want results before identity. They want outcomes before transformation. But real change works the other way around. You become first, then you receive. And becoming requires repetition. It requires doing the same things again and again, even when it feels boring, even when it feels slow, even when it feels like nothing is happening. That is the test. Because most people need excitement to continue. Once it disappears, they stop. But growth is not exciting most of the time. It is repetitive, it is quiet, it is consistent. And if you can stay through that phase, you separate yourself completely. Because now, you are no longer acting based on emotion. You are acting based on principle. You are no longer reacting to life. You are directing it. And that is what most people never achieve. They spend their entire lives reacting. Reacting to circumstances, reacting to emotions, reacting to other people. And because of that, they never truly feel in control. Philosophy gives you that control back, but only if you live it. Not occasionally, not when it is convenient. Daily, in small moments, in difficult situations, in decisions no one else sees. That is where your life is shaped. And if you stay consistent, if you continue to apply these principles even when it feels repetitive, even when it feels slow, something changes permanently. You stop searching for answers outside yourself. You become the answer. You become someone who can handle pressure, who can think clearly, who can act with discipline even when it is difficult. And once you reach that point, life feels different, not easier, but clearer, not perfect, but controlled. And that is enough. Because clarity gives direction, and direction gives purpose. And purpose removes that feeling of drifting through life without meaning. That is what philosophy does. It does not just teach you how to think, it teaches you how to live. And if you are ready to stop drifting, to stop avoiding, to stop repeating the same patterns, then this is where it starts. Not tomorrow, not later, now. And if you are serious about this, if you want to go beyond just watching and actually start building that level of control and clarity, then join the Stoic Legion. This is not for people who want temporary motivation. It is for those who are ready to develop discipline, awareness, and mental strength over time. Subscribe, commit, and become part of something that pushes you to grow every single day. Because in the end, philosophy will not save your life unless you decide to live by it.